Don-O-Mite! Wednesday night, Don-O-Mite!
So Dynamite.
This is awesome! This is this, this is that, this is this! Hey everybody, have a great time!
I'm not one of these f***ing goof podcasters out there. I am Don Tony, Wednesday night, Don-O-Mite! See, that's what I get. That's what I get for messing everything around. I did that on purpose just now. I muted it. Are you serious? Did you hear anything that I said? I'm just curious. Did you hear anything that I said? Unbelievable. 2 days in a row, I start the show off and it accidentally muted. But let me know if you heard the beginning. Because if that's the case, I don't think I want to... So you didn't hear nothing. Unbelievable. Should I just start it over? Seriously. We only have about a couple of dozen listeners. Should I... Crazy Cruiserweight, I'm unsubscribing. Should we just start it over? Let's just go with it. Let's just go with it. It's all good. I opened up the show wishing everybody a Merry Christmas. Yes, it is Thursday afternoon. Yes, it is, a couple of hours before Christmas. Doesn't feel like Christmas. I will tell you in about 3 hours for yours truly, it'll feel like Christmas because as some of you already know, every year for the last 8 years, now wait, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. This is my 9th Christmas with my fiance. And I could tell you with 100% honesty that this will be the 9th time that I go over her house Christmas Eve and I have to sit there like a dope because they have this annual tradition that they don't open presents until midnight. Now, even though we're really not exchanging this year because of COVID and finances and other stuff going on, there's still, even if there's just a card to open, they won't open it until midnight. It's like this, seriously, it's almost like a religious thing. And I'm like, honey, we're not opening nothing. Why do we have to stay until midnight? She's got relatives coming over. I don't know who they've hung out with. They might have COVID. I don't want to sit there with a mask in the house. The only thing good about wearing a mask in the house is I don't have to smell piss from 3 dogs running around. You know? I mean, my breath, smelling my own breath is not fun wearing a mask, but it's better than urine. Urine. By the way, maybe he read my lips when I was muted, but happy birthday, Eddie Valentino, 26 years old. Not half my age, but pretty close to it. So because you're so young, I give you this with love. So happy birthday, my friend. Yeah, Dorian says it's a Hispanic tradition. Me, it's a shame to ruin such a really nice envelope, but I have 20 of them. But me, here's my Christmas tradition when I get a gift. Here's the money. Here's the money. That's my Christmas tradition. It's like when a dog hasn't eaten all day and you put like a bowl of Alpo on the floor and then you open the door and it just kibbles and bits. That's it. That's it. It's all over. So as soon as I'm done over here, I got to legit shit shower and shave, do my hair, and then I got to go over there for Christmas Eve. Tomorrow, I see my parents. I stay there all weekend. And then Monday, it's right back to preparing for New Year's. Now, you know, as I told everybody yesterday, because AEW aired so late last night, and again, maybe Turner, every network that they have had basketball last night. I don't understand why they just didn't air Dynamite in its regular time slot. I mean, I don't want to say that they didn't do it, because it would have obviously gotten a lower rating if it was on a different network. And because NXT was on his regular slot, like they don't want to give NXT that win. I mean, don't be surprised if it gets as petty as that sometimes. But AEW didn't start yesterday until after 10. By the time the show was over, it was going to be around midnight, maybe even later. I didn't want to come up here at 12:30 in the morning and start Dynamite. So I gave you all the option on Twitter to vote, and 2-1, everybody wanted me to do NXT yesterday, AEW today. Oh no, Dorian, I am not dressing up tonight. In fact, I'm kind of pissed off because a lot of you wanted to see the picture of yours truly from 25 years ago. These pictures I found yesterday when I was looking for Mish's porn magazine that I promised him. I'm sending for Mish for Christmas, and I don't care if he blushes. He should be proud of this. I have sealed in the package, never opened, no pages are sticky. It is the magazine of Mickie James naked. 20 years ago. Do you believe it? It's over 20 years ago Mickie James was in that magazine. I already gave out one on Patreon. I have my own, stash. I will admit that the plastic was removed. I don't think any of the pages are sticky, but 20 years ago, we had a huge crush on Alexis Lurie. In fact, I got news for you. The way she looks right now, I think we all still have a little bit of a crush on her. Mickie James, one of the greatest of our generation as far as just having the whole. So yeah, Mish wanted that magazine, so I was searching for it yesterday, and somehow in the same bin, I found pictures of me from 25 years ago, playing with my bird. Not that one, but my African gray parrot. And there's a picture of me sideways. And like I said yesterday, it looks like I had surgery and I had this big glob of extra hair put in. If you remember Buster Poindexter, it's like this, it's not to that extreme, but it's like a huge glump of hair. I was going to show you all today, but I left the pictures in the other room. I could get it. It takes me literally 10 seconds to go get it. I could even show you the magazine too, but we can't show porn obviously over here. But next week I'll show you. So I am up here today to discuss last night's Dynamite. Excuse me. Don-O-Mite is me. Dynamite is AEW. By the way, thank you for everybody who loves the hat. Do you know, does the hat look more familiar when I wear it like this? Because this is the hat I usually wear. But I usually do it backwards because, I don't know. To me, it just looks a little bit better. But since we're covering AEW, I want to show AEW today. I'm also going to talk about something with Impact Wrestling that's related to AEW. And I'm going to speak about what happened last night on social media towards Jericho. And we'll get out of here. So there's no reason why the show needs to go more than an hour and 15 minutes at the most. But once again, big shout out to everybody who's tuning in. For those who are live right now, I know it's a little bit of an awkward time. For those overseas, it's a little bit easier, but 4 p.m., especially on Christmas Eve, there's a lot of you that are preparing to go out. Some of you that are going to watch us later on, we're working still. Some of you, may already doing some last minute Christmas shopping. But I wanted to give you a show This way you have it before the Christmas weekend. And remember, New Year's Eve, I will be here. It looks like the starting time is going to be 10, 10, 10. I promised one of our friends here on YouTube that super chats all the time. He goes by the name of 10, 10, 10 to celebrate that infamous moment in Impact Wrestling. They're coming, they're here. Remember with Abyss and Jeff Hardy and Jeff Jarrett with that sign in the ring and they're all pointing to it and it's misspelled? Let's open up talking about Impact Wrestling. Now, unfortunately, you cannot even post 5 seconds of anything Impact, anything AEW, anything WWE. Do you know, I wasn't going to say it publicly, but I want to mention it. I've never been flagged on YouTube, have no copyright strikes. I'm very careful what I do. But do you know when AEW announced AEW Heels, that first vignette, you remember when you saw just the legs walking in slow motion and we think it was Brandy's feet, but it had heels on so we couldn't tell by looking at the toes. Remember that where it opened up and you just saw 2 feet walking by? There was some light music playing in the background. I played that promo here on this show. I praised everything about AEW Heels. I debated Mish and others and argued with people saying that $50 a year is nothing. They're going to get their money back in 2 months. Praise this shit. Always praised AEW Heels. I showed you the screenshot of all the women that were there. All shapes, all sizes, ethnicities, color. It didn't matter. Everybody was smiling. And it was a wonderful thing. Do you know about a week and a half ago, I get this flag alert on YouTube? Not a strike, but a flag alert that somebody claimed the rights to music. And I'm like, music, the stuff I play over here, I actually paid licensing for. And by the way, we're going to change that intro. In 2021, it was a nice in the beginning. Don-O-Mite was kind of like a play on Dynamite, which is AEW show. But I think for the most part, 99% of you out there don't like that music in the beginning. It sounds like a hot mess. Seriously. So we're going to change that. We're going to change that. Maybe we'll keep the graphic, but we're going to change that. But anyway, getting back to this, I get this flag for music and I look at the details and it's when I played the thing for AEW Heels. They didn't flag the video. They flagged the fucking background music. If I played it back, I get flagged again. But I was like, man, talk about this was just generic dentist music in the background. With it was nothing. And they fucking, after all of this time, sent the thing, take it down. Fuck you. Fuck you. Seriously, man. Pissed me off. And yesterday kind of pissed me off too. I don't know if I should get angry or if I should laugh. I support Impact Wrestling. I know it sounds weird after 2 decades or whatever it was, 17 years. I know it's more than 17, but 17, 16, 17, till Dixie was gone. But I did a lot of criticism over the years. I had Impact Wrestling wrestlers wanting to beat the crap out of me, if you remember. We don't need to relive that. But I praise what deserves praising. I criticize what deserves criticism. But I got to tell you, man, what I'm trying to figure out now is I can look at it 2 ways. Either A, there's a reason why Impact Wrestling can't even get 200,000 viewers anymore. Or B, AEW is being brought down a little bit because of Impact Wrestling. Or C, it's a combination of both. Impact and AEW are being goofy right now. And I'll be honest with you, I know this is going to sound kind of like messed up, but I'm starting to think more and more that this is on AEW more than Impact Wrestling. I'll tell you why. You have Impact Wrestling's pay-per-view coming up. I think it's like the second week in January. They have Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers taking on Rich Swann and I think the Motor City Machine Guns. Definitely looking forward to that event. Absolutely. No question. But last week, for about 8 or 9 minutes, I vented on a big problem with this AEW versus Impact Wrestling storyline. And last week, and I have it in front of me, before Kenny Omega showed up on Impact Wrestling Wrestling's rating on December 1st was 166,000 viewers. The following week, when Kenny Omega appeared and Shivani and Tony Khan did that commercial, they increased to 221,000. And you remember all these press releases, blah, 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 for 55,000 viewers. I mean, you would have thought the sky fell online. Like, oh, all this press about it. Impact Wrestling's gushing. AEW is happy. Everybody, the wrestling fans, I mean, for 55,000, it went up, 25%. Justin Roberts even put it in his introduction of Kenny Omega last week. Remember? The introduction, the Impact, 33% up. The following week, with Kenny Omega on there, they dropped down to 177,000 viewers. So, in 1 week, as I said 2 weeks ago, and cute to see so many people using the phrase after the fact, but the Kenny Omega bloom is off the Impact rose. So they only still had 11,000 viewers. And then yesterday, Impact Wrestling, a best of episode, only did 133,000 viewers. 133,000. Now, I know what a lot of you are going to say. Oh, it's just the best of episode. But I'm going to play for you now. I don't think anybody will have a problem with it. I trimmed it down by 50%. It's only a 3 or 4 minute video, maybe 5 at the most. But I want to play something that I said last week on Don-O-Mite. And I think it's absolutely critical because of this asinine, moronic promo that Tony Khan cut on Impact Wrestling 2 days ago. Because what I said last week and what Tony Khan did this week, it's making me start to think that they're both clueless about this storyline. This storyline is really, I actually look back and I think Global Force Wrestling invading Impact Wrestling was done better than this. So I share with you right now a 4 or 5 minute clip from last week's Don-O-Mite episode. And as you're watching what I'm saying, if you saw Impact this week, or if you at minimum saw on Twitter or social media the commercial that Tony Khan did this week telling Impact wrestlers, come to Dynamite tomorrow. And then he had to add that, or whenever you want. And I'll tell you why he added that little thing after that. But as you watch this, think of what Tony Khan said on Tuesday. Think about what happened last night on Dynamite with Impact wrestlers. And then we will vent a little bit, and then we'll get into the results. So this is from last week's Wednesday Night Dynamite. You look at Impact Wrestling's press releases. You look at them pushing something like this, okay? If you follow Impact Wrestling social media account, if tweets could have orgasms, there'd be jizz all over the place. They're coming across as excited. And they're using like, well, Don Callis is using his power to do this, and Don Callis is using his power to do this. They're coming across as excited. You have tonight the commentators on AEW acting disappointed at Kenny Omega for showing up on Impact Wrestling. This is ass backwards. AEW is the dominant company. They should be having Tony Khan as a little bit of a heel showing up on Impact Wrestling. He did the promo last week. I could buy Impact Wrestling. Hey, there's rumors I could buy Impact Wrestling. But you tell your goddamn commentators on Dynamite to be upset that Kenny Omega keeps showing up on Impact? How's about a little bit of consistency here? AEW should be bragging on Dynamite that they can just show up on Impact Wrestling and do whatever they want. And their world champion, they get the privilege of their world champion appearing on their show. And they're going to take care of their itty-bitty little champion, Rich Swann, and the former itty-bitty champions, the Motor City Machine Guns. But no, it's confusing messages. And here's the worst part. Here's the worst part of it all. Impact Wrestling is taped to the rest of the year. Everything's done. And to show you how little they've taped, they're doing, for the last, 2 weeks of the 2020, best ofs. Why would you do an invasion storyline with just 2 or 3 promos recorded in the books, and you do best ofs for the next 2 weeks? Here's where it gets even worse. You have Impact Wrestling wrestlers at home right now. They don't all live in the Northeast where Tropical Storm Northeastern Gale is screwing everybody up right now. They're living in all parts of the country. Impact Wrestling's wrestlers are home right now. They're not appearing on Impact Wrestling for the remainder of 2020 other than best ofs. Why isn't Tony Khan working out something with Impact Wrestling? Like, look, we're not doing anything on TV for the next 2-3 weeks. We got to hype this up. Why? Especially tonight. Tonight is a no DQ match between Joey Janela and Kenny Omega. Why not have Rich Swann show up at AEW Dynamite tonight? Why not even go off the air that he's trying to jump the guardrail and get in the ring and everybody's holding him back? He wears an Impact Wrestling shirt. Why not have something where Gallows and Anderson happen to be in the back with Kenny Omega? Why are they not having Impact Wrestling's wrestlers show up on AEW for the next 2 weeks since you're doing best ofs? This is so ass backwards, and I want to love it. A little storyline like that is good enough, but man, talk about such an easy thing to do. And in my Vince McMahon voice, I mean, they haven't totally ruined it yet, but something tells me in 2 weeks, other than that match, they ruined it, damn it. They ruined it. You never get a second chance at a first impression. There was so much momentum last week. Yeah, it only had 60,000 more viewers, but still, it created a buzz online. Wednesday Night Wrestling has officially become the number 2 night of wrestling during the week. I don't know if you heard about Raw's numbers, but Raw had the lowest rating in the history of Monday Night Raw. The history of Monday Night Raw, this past Monday. Can't blame it on Rollins. Can't blame it on King Corbin. You can't. What do you blame it on this time? The lowest ratings in history. And then Impact Wrestling, they drop. They lost almost all the viewers that they gained last week. Oh, I didn't know Tuesday Night Football was on yesterday. I didn't know that WWE had some wrestling promotion going up against Impact yesterday. They got so much buzz last week. They should have offered, they got a $175 million contract with TNT. You get that buzz online. It's not just one-sided for Impact Wrestling. The whole storyline. They should have been on the phone for Gallows and said, listen, you guys, any way possible you could show up on Dynamite. We want to do something where Impact is trying to get into AEW and start shit. Nothing. Now, let me add to this. For those that did not see Impact Wrestling 2 days ago, okay, this is Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone paying advertising to cut another promo. And this is exactly what Tony Khan said on Impact Wrestling. This is what he said, and I quote, "You know what, Impact Wrestling? You want Kenny Omega here wrestling your people? That's fine with me. Tomorrow night, Wednesday Night Dynamite, you're welcome to send some of your people to my show this week or any week." Why would you spit out of your mouth tomorrow night, send some of your people? It's because it was a fucking pre-recorded show for Impact for the rest of the year. And they're just splicing these things in. And they don't organize this in advance. They cut the recorded thing for Impact Wrestling, How do you have Tony Khan say, hey, Impact Wrestling, show up tomorrow night or any other week? That's like somebody it's like a guy, a nerd, a goof, trying to hit on some girl or guy, whichever way you go, and she's not really interested. And you're like, look, give me a call tomorrow or next week or next month, whenever you want, give me a call. You don't plant the seed, hey, Impact Wrestling, show up tomorrow night on Dynamite, and then nobody shows up. Nobody shows up. Now, Puffy89 said this, and I understand what you're saying. They'll save it for next week. It's better to do on a live show. I got news for you. It's better to do it while you ever hear the phrase, you strike while the iron is hot? There was so much, you know why? And I'll tell you another reason why I'm starting to blame AEW more than anything with this. Impact Wrestling got to be sitting back, giddy, that they're getting anything at all from AEW. Impact Wrestling's ratings are pathetic. They have worldwide, global contractual obligations from when Impact Wrestling TNA was huge. So they're giddy. They're giddy. It reminds me, and I've told this story once before, I played Little League Baseball, and it was, I think, 1979. I was just a child, and I was on Little League Baseball, and they had their parish awards for the Catholic grammar school that I was in. And I ended up winning an award for my play. And, every year they always have like a guest, like either a Mets player or a Yankees player that shows up there. You take pictures, he signs the signs autographs. And I'm trying to remember the pitcher's name, but somebody showed up. Oh, I remember. If any of you that are around my age that remember baseball back then, he's probably more known with the Cubs. When they did the Parish Awards and I found out that I was getting an award, this was 1979. And, I thought, oh my God, could you imagine if Reggie Jackson would have come? I'd be happy with Greg Nettles, Ron Guidry, Goose Gossage, anybody. Ray Burris. Ray Burris is going to be your guest. Ray fucking who? Ray Burris. So it's like the school, as long as it's somebody with pinstripes, they're giddy. It was Ray Burris. Who the hell cared? And he signed my little Parish Award trophy. I almost wanted to wipe it off after, kind of embarrassed. Like, hey, everybody, look at this trophy. I even got an autograph. By who? By Ray Burris. Who? Ray Burris. So Impact Wrestling must be loving this right now. But AEW, and I don't mean to disrespect Impact Wrestling when I say this, but AEW, there's a fucking reason why Impact Wrestling doesn't even do 200,000 viewers without other promotions with hand jobs and everything else, or favors being blown. There's a reason. Impact Wrestling, and I say this as a huge compliment, Impact Wrestling has some awesome, awesome talent. The storylines are not all that bad. But you see, what was there? Legends House? What was it? Wrestle House? The first episode, I was intrigued. The second episode, I thought it was lighthearted comedy. The third episode, I realized that the minute it got buzzed on the net, Impact Wrestling made their entire fucking promotion about Wrestle House. Everything was about Wrestle House. And guess what? By week 3, it sucked. Guess what? By week 3 of Kenny Omega and Impact Wrestling, it sucks right now. Because Tony Khan just says, hey, why don't you show up tomorrow on Dynamite? And nobody shows. Nobody shows. Why does that air on TV? So I understand what you're saying, Puffy, but you got to strike while the iron is hot. And again, this is my point with why I blame this more on AEW. How many times over the last year I have complained about something that AEW does? They have feuds, big feuds, and it happens every other week. And don't give me this, well, we can't fit everybody in every single week. Well, then you don't do all those storylines. Remember Santana and Ortiz versus Best Friends? They're in the shower fucking peeing on their gear, ripping into shreds. They total somebody's car. Somebody totals my car. The following week, if I had to wait the following week, I'd be standing there with a baseball bat ready to start getting some retaliation. No, we're doing it in 2 weeks. We're doing it in 2 weeks. Kenny Omega beats Jon Moxley for the title. Jon Moxley for an entire year is this unhinged, I show up, I cause chaos, nobody's going to tell me, blah, 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 blah. He loses. They try to do the idea that he's been screwed, a screw job. And Jon Moxley goes home for 3 weeks. They should have lied and said that he had COVID. They should have lied and said that he had COVID. Tell me how the Jon Moxley character, the AEW character that you built up for a year plus, you tell me how Jon Moxley, that character, loses the title. He cut a promo every goddamn week. The title is everything about me. This is the most important title in wrestling, period. And the title is my life. The title is this. The title is that. You get screwed out of it, and you don't show up the next week. This is not Jon Moxley's fault. I always have to stress it because there's always a couple of people out there that are like, DT, you do know that it's scripted. Yeah, no shit. But yet all of you out there, not all of you, but some of you out there, rip on Brock Lesnar. Oh, he never shows up on WWE TV. And it sucks. Brock Lesnar sucks. He never shows up. And I'm like, what do you expect him to do? Show up at a Raw and say to Vince, Vince, I know I wasn't booked for the next 2 months, but you know what? This is on me. I happen to be in a neighborhood. Put me on TV. I mean, this is AEW's decision. AEW fucked up Jon Moxley's character more than you can imagine. Every other week. How many times? They wait 2-3 weeks. Abaddon and Hikaru Shida. Last week, they're talking about Big Swole being the #1 contender. I'm like, wait, what happened to the feud with and then yesterday, she does the Shayna Baszler. And I'm like, wait, but nothing happened every 2 weeks. And they're doing the same shit because next week we'll probably have an Impact wrestler show up live, like Puffy89 said, and do the attacking and everything else. And then we're supposed to forget. And then what happens the following week? Nothing. Nothing. This is AEW's pattern. This is not Impact Wrestling. Impact Wrestling is sitting back and like, hey, man, I'll take whatever you want, man. It's like my friend Pete when I was in high school. I've told that story many times. I feel bad looking back on it because I realized his family had nothing. They spent all the money they had just to put him through a decent Catholic high school. And we used to sit at the cafeteria and we'd all be eating lunch and he'd have nothing. I swear on my mother, he would have nothing. And I remember one time my friend was eating like this disgusting bologna sandwich. It looked like rats were inside it. And I remember my friend Pete like this, just staring at the food. And my friend Joey's like, Pete, you want half my sandwich? I'm not going to eat it. He's like, no, come on, I'm going to throw it out. Oh, okay. And the guy ate it like he made love to it. That's how hungry the guy was. So you have someone that hungry, you toss him anything. You give him this piece of cardboard. That's what Impact Wrestling is doing right now. They could get any rub from AEW, they're going to take it. But this is making AEW look ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And seriously, I know I always ask you to post comments, and I like being interactive with you all. But what I just said, tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me if you agree or disagree. But these gaps, especially this guy, and I'll give you another one. Shaq wants Cody. Jade Cargill cuts a promo yesterday on Dynamite. Now, obviously, she can't do anything with Brandy for the foreseeable future because Brandy is pregnant. Congrats. Absolutely. So now we wonder who is going to step in for Brandy in this feud. Me personally, I'd like to see Big Swole be put in there because Big Swole had some nice momentum until they decided, let's do this dentist cinematic match, which was probably the worst thing that I saw on wrestling television this year. The worst thing. But I thought about it yesterday, and I know some of you out there probably thought about it as well. They knew they were being preempted for the NBA for the last month. Why would you not save Shaq and the Shaq, Cody, Brandy, J. Carl, whatever it is? Why would you not save that until last night? You have NBA leading in to wrestling. And Shaq, one of the greatest basketball players of all time. You don't open up Dynamite with the Shaq stuff? I tell you, man, you know, I see all these interviews. I saw Chris Van Vliet, you know, interviewed the Young Bucks. Oh, he's a tag team all the time. Why do you do this? How do you like getting an incident? What's your favorite food? What's your favorite color? What do you like this? Do you like me? I like you. And I'm saying to myself, you know, they do all these pillow talk interviews, and yet I think what people don't understand is that you don't find too many baseball players that are still playing on the field and they're also managing the team or being the CEOs or working in the office. You had some rare ones over the years. Pete Rose is the one that I always remember, but he was at the tail end of his career. And just because you are one of the most talented tag teams in recent memory, and you have some wrestlers that are some of the most talented of our generation, doesn't necessarily mean that you're great working in an executive position. And a lot of this shit is an unforced error. And I tell you, and when I hear Kenny Omega say, people need to get used to what wrestling is today, this and that, that's pretty much, you know, showing you that instead of acknowledging, and I talk about this even with personal life with a lot of people, instead of addressing, acknowledging, and accepting the fact that you fucked up, you fucked up, you fucked up, you blame it on others. You make the other people the bad guy. You always try to shift it. And it happens in real life. It happens in wrestling. It happens everywhere. Everybody's got to make excuses for their own inept. You know, people out there, I've talked about what happened with COVID and work and everything like that. People that are just absolutely inept based on their own choices, which they have the right to do. But then, you know, oh, hey, you want to come with us? We're going to shovel snow. Look, here's a great one. Hey, how many of you did this when you were a lot younger? Hey, John, we're going to go shovel snow. You want to come with us? Yeah, I'll come. Hey, Joey, we're going to go shovel snow in the neighborhood. You want to come with us? We're going to get money and then we're going to go play video games. Or we're going to go to the coffee shop. Yeah, I'll go. Hey, Tom, you want to come with us? We're going to shovel snow. No, I'm going to stay home. You sure? We're going to make crazy-ass money. We're going to go out after. No, I'm going to stay home. All right? We all shovel snow and we bank a lot of money. Next day, because we made so much money. Hey, John. Hey, Joey. Hey, blah, 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 blah. You want to go shovel snow? Yes, I'm going to go shovel snow. Let's go. Let's do it. We'll make more money. Hey, Tom, I know you didn't come with us yesterday. You want to come with us today and shovel snow? We made so much money. We're going to go out after and buy things and this and that. No, I'm going to stay home. And then guess what? Every one of those fucking friends go out, shovel snow, work their ass off, made a lot of money, went out and buy stuff. And then Tom sits at home sulking. I'm nothing. I'm nothing. And you blame it on everybody else. But he's the one that decided to stay home and miss out on this stuff. You know, it's his inept. It's his choice. And some of the things going on in AEW right now, and Tony Khan, man, he comes off as a really likable guy, huge wrestling fan. I applaud him getting into this game as quickly as they did and as hard as they are. And yes, there'll always be growing pains. But there are a couple of things going on right now. I mean, look, they had almost 1 million viewers. I still remember the tweet. In fact, I think that tweet, if WWE ever does like a rise and fall of AEW, I think Brian Alvarez's tweet that just had the words, holy shit. Holy shit. And it was because they did what, 985, their viewership? Apparently the ratings came in yesterday. All right. And AEW did, there we go, 775. NXT did 698. What did I say yesterday? Did I say 717 for NXT or did I say 785? I know it was in the sevens, but A lot of you were saying yesterday, unopposed, that NXT has got to get at least 900,000 viewers. Otherwise, it's an absolute disappointment. I think most of you said 900,000. And what did we talk about yesterday with NXT? That their first hour, you're unopposed. You're unopposed. You're coming off, still 2 weeks from War Games. You're 2 weeks away from New Year's Evil. You start off this episode with a street fight involving 4 people that are not advertised for New Year's Evil. It's a street fight. Oh, in that case, ECW, ECW, ECW. Wait a minute. I don't remember ECW street fights having wrestlers tagging themselves in. Street fights now involve tags. They did it on Raw, like I said, and they did it yesterday. And then after that, they follow up the feud of the year that we all want to see, especially leading into New Year's Evil. My God, the guy that said, I take 3 steps backward and 1 big step forward. And his big step forward was a couple of weeks ago when he beat Isaiah Swerve Scott, which means that if he's right on schedule, he fucks up for the next 3 appearances. And we get Jake Atlas for the first hour. I'm like, do you realize you're unopposed? Do you realize that you're 2 weeks away from New Year's Evil? And this is what you give? Is there some quota out there? Is there some quota that we must put some people on there a certain amount of times a month? And I said, I bet you, anything you want to bet, that NXT, when we get into the quarter-hour ratings, you're going to see that they could have done so much better, but their choice of some of the matches they put on yesterday, unfucking opposed. God-awful rating. That is an awful rating. That's not even, again, and what are people going to say? Oh, I need to do basketball. I do basketball. I do basketball. Always an excuse. If people, I challenge people out there. Oh, and we're going to get to the Jericho shaming. We're going to get to the Jericho shaming right now because I'm doing timestamps later. I had to write it down. Yesterday, NBA goes off the air. AEW comes on. You remember how I have said in the past that sometimes when AEW leads in after basketball, that a lot of people out there leave their television on. They may be doing something else. They may have dozed off. Maybe we're in the other room or whatever. And they leave the channel on past the game is over. And then they walk in the room. Oh, wrestling's on. And I've brought that up many times in the past. That's what happened last night again. But last night they decided to open up with Jericho and MJF versus Top Flight. And I'm looking at all these social media accounts, and I'm going to just say it right to the point. Some of you out there, I could see if these were famous basketball players saying this, but I saw a bunch of people out there retweeting, screenshotting, and absolutely gushing with enjoyment and joy of people making fun of Jericho's physique. Jericho looks fat. Jericho is this. Jericho is that. And how many of you out there saw all of these people on social media cutting and pasting, retweeting, smiley faces, dumb emojis, LOLs, LMAFO, LMAO, blah, 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 blah. But yet when it's a wrestler, especially if they're heterosexual, a female wrestler that gets body shamed, oh, that's terrible. We are in 2020 where everybody should be accepted. Nobody should be body shaming everyone. But with Jericho, seriously, you know how much vaping must have went on yesterday? You know how people smoke after they orgasm? There must have been so much smoking going on yesterday. My message to all of those people out there that absolutely loved that regular folk that were basketball fans, haven't seen Jericho in a long time and were making fun of his body, to all of you out there who are wrestling fans that thought that was so great, my answer to you is, why don't you post a picture of yourself without a shirt on? Why don't you post a picture of yourself with a fucking shirt on? Why don't you post a picture of a shirt that doesn't say like, let me think of a good one, like Bush 2000. There are people out there that have no pictures of themselves, or their pictures are 15, 20, 30 years old. Child pictures when they're still in the womb. If you don't have the balls to put pictures of yourself online, I don't think you have any right to be talking about anybody else's body. That's my answer to that. Jericho has wrestled for decades and decades, 30 years. And that guy is winding down, and his body is morphed and changed a little bit, but the guy still goes in the ring, could still tell a story. Yeah, it's a lot more gaga, but I still fucking enjoy it. And guess what? You know, that happens. And I thought it was so awful yesterday to see all of that. I mean, for the people that don't follow wrestling, I can understand if their memories of Jericho was 10 years ago, or maybe, you know, when he did this stuff with Mickey Rourke, I think that's his name. I mean, I can understand if you haven't seen him in a while, but for wrestling fans to be giddy over that, that's why I say, anybody out there that is too ashamed to show you what they look like, they should get no play whatsoever, because that's saying something. So Jericho, yeah, I can understand. I talk about when Arn Anderson. Arn looks healthy. That's what a lot of people in my neighborhood say when you talk about someone who's put on weight but don't want to make fun of them. So they use the phrase, oh, did you see Anne-Marie yesterday? Oh, you know, she put on a couple of pounds, but she looks healthy. She looks healthy. That's a way of basically saying, like, she's fat, but I don't have the nerve to make fun of it. I saw that yesterday, and I thought that was terrible. So, by the way, you know what else I saw yesterday I thought was terrible? I don't know if it was Shivani that talked about how they have nobody there, or maybe it was Kyoto, that they have nobody there that is like helping train the referees, like really trying to knock some of this shit out. I like Aubrey Edwards. She has grown on me over the last year or so. I think she's one cool chick, and I say that complimentary. But I watched this yesterday. I hope you go back and you watch it for yourself. There is a point yesterday of Top Flight versus MJF and Chris Jericho. And for about, I'd say, a minute to 2 minutes, all four members are in the ring. All four of them. I want you to please, this was near the beginning of the match, I want you to please, for me, go back, watch that while all four are in the ring, but only focus on Aubrey Edwards. Only focus on Aubrey Edwards. And it may come off as nitpicking to some, but if you know when I laugh what the refs do at Randy Orton, and yesterday what I said about Raquel Gonzalez, you know, and you get all these referees that come out and, you know, like they'll pull apart everybody else, but like for yesterday or for no, Randy, no. Like, yeah, yesterday, Aubrey Edwards is in the corner and she's like this, like a chicken. She's like this. I swear on my mother. Go back and watch it. Four guys are in the ring, and she's doing this. She's doing this. You know when they count 1, 2, 3. She's doing this. It's like a dance move. 1, 2. 1, 2. This is what she did for 2 fucking minutes. I'm looking at this, and I'm like, you know what? This, the Impact, all this adds up. They should have over 1 million viewers every fucking week. Raw is the drizzling shits right now, and it still pulls 1.6 million, 1.7 million viewers. There's no reason why it's this bad. But you see things like that, it's too messy. It's just too messy. Nothing is tightening up. And oh, well, you know, but the overall product is good, and I could get past this, and I could get past that. See me, Mish knows, I don't like creeping in any type of weakness or trying to wing it. You know, I try to always give 1,000% effort. I know I'm never going to get the most views here. I know I'm not going to be the most popular person. I'm not going to be the most polished person. But I know when I say things, I'm straight out with you. I tell you how I feel, even though it rubs some people the wrong way. But, you know, I just try to put in as much effort as possible. And the problem is that if you allow this to creep in, then you allow this to creep in. Then you allow this creep in. And then when some people complain, you get the comment from somebody that works in management like Kenny Omega. Oh, people need to get used to. Kenny Omega's comments about that was directed to the 50 and over crowd, by the way. But you go back and you watch that yesterday. I kid you not. I thought she was swimming. She looked like she was swimming. She's like this. Seriously, I'm not kidding. I want someone to make that animated picture file and send it to my Twitter so I could show everybody. For 2 minutes, she's doing this in the corner. 1, 2. And then the best part, halfway into the match, somebody had their foot on somebody's like neck or shoulder near the side of the ring, and she's actually counting to 5. What happened when Jericho did that podcast a year ago saying that, you know, we need to tighten up the way the tag team wrestling thing is? You remember when he said that about the Lucha Bros and some others that, you know, people need to, start, this is tag team wrestling. They did the same goddamn thing yesterday. I mean, obviously MJF and Jericho did because the heels are supposed to cheat. But you don't have Aubrey Edwards like forcing some. Merry Christmas to you, Liam. Merry Christmas to you. So anyway, let's get into a couple of super chats. Let's start wrapping this up. We'll fill in the blanks of what we were talking about yesterday. So Roger Rubio, Merry Christmas, my friend. Much love. Longtime member of our Patreon family as well. Roger is absolutely good people. By the way, shout out to Mish. He's live right now in the chat, keeping law and order. And I thank you all for hanging out on a Thursday afternoon. Like I said, Thursday afternoons are something I've never done over here, let alone on Christmas Eve. So I know a lot of you out there are not going to be able to tune in live, but I thank you as always for the support. This Monday, oh, by the way, let me also knock this out of the way very quickly. Tony Schiavone did an after show yesterday. Didn't start until late at night. And the subject of Sting was brought up. And I tell you, I was shocked. Not at what Tony Schiavone said, but that he just put it out there like, hey, we're not going to keep it, sealed up. Doesn't like check with Tony Khan first. Is it okay if I answer this? He just threw it out there. Sting will be wrestling. I'm going to get into it in detail with Mish on Monday. Something tells me we will have a nice, friendly, intense debate over this. But basically, Schiavone said Sting will wrestle. So now we know. I mean, he said also, he's not going to be a regular active wrestler on the roster, and it might be only once or twice here and there. But Schiavone did say he will wrestle. So Mish and I will talk about this on Monday. I don't want to get too much into it right now because, my view is still the same. If it ends up being a tag match, look, I remember when Hulk Hogan teamed up once with Mean Gene Okerlund. Mean Gene Okerlund obviously couldn't do anything, and yes, Sting is not going to be like Mean Gene Okerlund and do one move. Oh, my light almost fell. Do one move and then get back in the ring, but I think Sting will be protected to the max. I think it'll be tag team matches. And I think he will have very, very minimal work being done. I don't think they'll do anything high risk, but I'm not going to shit on it. Just to give you a little preview of how I feel about it, and I repeat what I've said before. Sting has entertained me since the 80s. And Sting, at no point in his career did I ever see him in the ring and say, look like what people were saying about Jericho yesterday. There was never a point in Sting's career, whether it's weight or ability or anything else, never once did I ever say, this guy shouldn't be out there. I mean, he's just out there because he's getting paid through the. This guy knows his body better than us. And if this guy has been to doctors and he's been cleared and he feels that he can still do it, you know, there are some people out there that do, you know, that are able to do things at a latter age. I bring up when Ricky Steamboat did that WrestleMania match. Ricky Steamboat was in his mid-50s. Yes, it's 5 years, 6 years, still younger than Sting. The point is that, you know, you're not going to get a 30-minute, you know, brawl with Sting against someone else. If you get some novelty, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But we will talk about, David Levy just said Sting versus the Butcher. Now, obviously, I'm not getting into specifics with all the matches. I'm giving you the match results and my overall thoughts because AEW was yesterday, and I think this is probably a better conversation. But let me say this. The Butcher yesterday, all right, he had his match against Pac. Now, the storyline, so to speak, is that Eddie Kingston, and if you notice, I'm not even looking at notes. I'm just from my memory. Yesterday, Eddie Kingston is on commentary, and Eddie Kingston, while on commentary, is trying to give some, you know, like managerial advice to the Butcher while he's in the ring. And obviously, the Butcher is not like paying attention, or he's a little bit late on, you know, acknowledging him. And Eddie Kingston gets a little bit pissed off. And then here comes Lance Archer, has some words with Eddie Kingston, and that distracts the Butcher. And Pac, you know, hits the his finisher with the Falcon Arrow, whatever that is, and he beats the Butcher. But I will tell you this. When they first brought the Butcher and the Blade and the Bunny in AEW, I thought, what awful fucking names for these wrestlers. That is like, talk about WCW. You would go back in WCW in the 90s, and you'd have the Gambler, you know, the Highwayman, or, you know, the State White Patrol, blah, 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 blah. Like, it would be the something. Even when the Cowboy, the this, the that, the Butcher, the Blade, and then they're wearing ice cream outfits, like they're selling Good Humor. The Butcher, the Blade, it just was so, I can't believe how much they have grown on me. I mean, we always liked Ali, so Ali was no problem. But the Butcher and the Blade, they have grown on me, and I will tell you, and I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say this, not only do I think the Butcher, I don't know if anybody knows, yes, he had a little bit of different ring gear yesterday, but that guy has dropped a significant amount of weight over the last 6 months. That guy still has, he's one of those physiques that he'll always be a big guy. You know, there's some people out there that just have those physiques that if they lose too much weight, they look sickly, and he will always be a big guy. But he has dropped a decent amount of weight, or he's just, it's shifting. He's in tremendous shape. And I thought the match he had yesterday was the best match of his AEW career. I was so impressed with his match yesterday. It wasn't the greatest match, you know, as far as, you know, what we've seen lately. Puffy 89 says, Eddie Kingston, I'm laughing on the floor, insulting. Yes, you're insulting everyone. Look, it almost felt like I left the super chats out all this time. It's all right. Yeah, it's funny because it was almost like a feud yesterday of Eddie Kingston versus the commentators. It was funny, man. I'm telling you, Jericho on commentary, Eddie Kingston on commentary. Sometimes you kind of like get shifted off of the match a little bit. And you get some entertaining commentary. I'll give you a ultimate great example for anybody out there that's baseball fans. You could use cricket. You could use any type of sport that you want, football, or even hockey, or tennis, or golf. Sometimes you're watching a stretch of a game that is BAF, is that how they say, boring as fuck? And what you're looking on the TV is just boring. There's nothing going on. No energy, no controversy, no ag. It's just a part of the game that you just feel like, oh, I want to go take a dump. But the commentary is so entertaining. Whether they're telling old school stories or they're just going at it each other, cracking some jokes, a little humor, that keeps you glued to the TV. I can't tell you, back in the day, watching Met games, especially in the early 90s when they really got dismal, and just being entertained by what was being said in the commentator's booth. And that yesterday showed you can have matches that are not all that great out there, but the commentary could make up for that and make up for it big time. So yeah, I absolutely loved Eddie Kingston on commentary yesterday. I thought it was great. And Merry Christmas to you, my friend Neil Ray. He's shouting out, wow, he shouted Ken. Oh yeah, you like Ken. Sam is the one, I think, that is the heel on YouTube. We got personalities over here on YouTube. By the way, if you go to my Twitter, at DonTonyD, I put up a really cool photo. I got a Christmas gift from someone here that super chats a lot. I don't want to say who it is. He won a prize not too long ago. And he had emailed me when he sent me his shipping address. He's like, I'm going to return the favor. And the prize was pretty big. I mean, expensive. So he sent me something that I got today, and I thought he was sending me vitamins. He's like, I'm going to send you something that I think will help you with your keto journey. Just go on my Twitter and just look at the picture. I get this box that was like this big today, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Go check it out. It's pretty cool. But, and again, to Neil, to all of you out there, I thank you more than you can imagine for all of your support throughout 2020. We've no question had a lot of bumps in the road, and I look back on it and I wish I could, when your mom, especially back when you were young, she threatens to wash your mouth out with soap. Like every time I addressed, like haters out there, and I should have just taken like Dawn or Ivory soap and just put it in my mouth. Like the minute I bring them up, just take a shot live on the show, even if I just like throw up all over the place. That's something that I didn't realize how bad it was affecting the shows. But now, we leave that noise behind. Now it's all of us. And in 2021, we're not wasting a week. I could have taken off yesterday and today and just, that's it. It's Christmas holiday. I don't want to waste even 1 week. Because you waste time, guess what? That's where someone else takes that time and does something with it. And the problem is when you do that often, then you get into that rotation or that frequency even more. I don't want to waste nothing. So believe me when I tell you, when January 1st comes around, which is next Friday, I mean, even New Year's Eve, when we're going to be up here chatting and everything else, that is going to be the start. New Year's Eve is, to me, officially the start of 2021 for this channel. And I guarantee you, by February, people out there are going to be like, whoa, like what's going on over here? Mish and I have a lot of things planned out, and it's going to be an awesome year. Really is. And I swear to you, swear in a stack of Bibles, I'm not looking to hurt anyone else's shows out there. I've been doing this since 97, way before everyone else. So, I'm going to enjoy it, and hopefully you enjoy it as much as I do. And you will continue to mold this channel into what you want it to be. That's why another show is being created on Thursday. That's why we're going to do more Q&As. This coming Monday, I'm doing the next Q&A. And then after that, we're going to shift it around a little bit, bring Mish into the picture. We're going to shake things up a little bit. We're going to do some non-wrestling stuff once we get into the springtime. And then hopefully by summer, a lot of COVID will be out of here. And then that's when we could really start, going full-blown with this. And, I just hope that you're still around for the ride. So, but anyway, so let's get back to AEW. And so we already talked about Jericho MJF versus Top Flight. Pac versus Butcher. Again, go back and watch that match if you haven't done so. I don't know, and it wasn't a gear change. I just really noticed, like, you know, wow, the Butcher. I mean, you've noticed it, but never really paid attention. But I guess because of the outfit he has on yesterday, he really kind of showcased the way that he's trimmed down. But the match was great yesterday. Getting back to Sting, yesterday they did an interview segment with Tony Schiavone. And this time he talked. And, you know, Sting, and, you know, I understand the phrase, but I sort of don't. You know, like Sting is saying it's happy to be home. You know, nobody from WCW owns AEW's management. I don't know what Schiavone, how far his role goes in AEW, but, you know, because some of the same, you know, characters are there from WCW doesn't mean that it's WCW. It's not NWA. Yeah, it's on the same TV network, but what does that mean? But Sting is doing this. It's happy to be home. I personally think that when Sting says this, I think more of TNA than as far as WWE, because, you know, WCW went out of business in 2001. TNA started in 2002. Yes, Sting was not there for the entire duration, but they're in Florida. The promotion is smaller. You know, the way things are handled, it's got a little bit of a TNA style to it, in my opinion, which is a good thing. And I think that's more of at home. I don't look at it as WCW. I don't think anybody out there, unless you want to say, well, the Young Bucks, Top Flight, Acclaimed, you know, Private Party is kind of what the Luchadors were in WCW in 1995. The only reason why I disagree with that is because if you weren't around as a fan in 1995, when these guys, we saw when Worlds Collide, that pay-per-view. But when we first saw, for the most part, Rey Mysterio, Hoovy, Psychosis, Conan, La Parka, Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko in ECW. Even though Dean Malenko I wouldn't really put in the categories Mexican wrestling, but the others I would. You know, there was so many moves that we weren't used to seeing. Now, sometimes you would put on the Spanish channels. Here in New York, it would be Channel 47, you know, Telemundo. And we would see. And all I remember, seriously, no joke, all I remember watching Rey Mysterio in AAA in the early 90s before he went to ECW and WCW. All I remember is his matches and the big blue mat with, I think, the beer logo. I don't know if it was Corona or whatever it was. And you would hear these air horns. All you would hear is air horns throughout the match. But it was fun. And I didn't know half of the wrestlers, 90% of the wrestlers, I had no idea who they were. When they came to ECW and then ultimately WCW, was a style that a lot of us had never seen before on a regular basis. When it comes to Top Flight, the Young Bucks, yes, there are some revolutionary moves that you'd be like, what the fuck did they just do? And it's amazing. But as far as the high-flying style, we've watched that for decades now. So it's not as revolutionary. But again, the reason why I try to compare AEW more to TNA is because one thing TNA also did in the early years of their tenure more than anything else is they showcased the young stars. You know, in WCW, they tried to do the new blood storyline to try to give some, but in AEW, they really do try to emphasize the young stars and give them a lot more play. Did anybody out there ever think that Top Flight would have that much offense yesterday against MJF and Jericho? You know, so that's why I look at it like that. So Sting yesterday is cutting his promo, and I'm telling you, man, I know last week I went on this rant about how Sting pretty much, not intentionally, but just the way it came off, they embarrassed Team Taz. You have all these maniac monsters, Brian Cage, Hobbs, you know, Ricky Starks, you know, those three alone, and they're backing off because a guy with a baseball bat, a plastic baseball bat, it didn't have a good presence to it. So what they do yesterday is Sting is in the ring and he's talking about, he brings up Dusty Rhodes, giving him an opportunity. And, he was talking about Cody, and Darby Allin was all the way in the rafters. And I'm convinced that Daly's Place must have like a handicapped elevator over there. They must have a handicapped elevator. And I'm not saying that to be funny. A lot of these venues, if they have like escalators, they have stairs, but they also have these handicapped elevators, which might be a requirement. When I go to Mohegan Sun, they have a handicapped elevator that if you're in a wheelchair, you use this special elevator that will bring you down to other floors. Darby Allin was like in section 985 in the upper tier. And they put the camera on him, and some people think that, it was just a play, a video trick. And this, no, I think what happened was the last time they showed him, they had that handicapped elevator door open. It obviously was not in our view. And the last time they showed him, like, go, go, go. And he went into that handicapped elevator, went down, and I think just ran across. The lights went off because Taz and his entourage came out. And they acted like they were going to beat the crap out of Sting. The lights come off, the lights come on, and here's this 90-pound guy with a skateboard. And they're like, oh. And I'm not trying to disrespect Darby Allin. My point is, you got a 61-year-old man with a plastic bat, and if you're going to try to shoot like they try to shoot in their promos, we all know about Sting's injuries. So to try to act like Sting is suddenly this supernatural power, and then you add Darby Allin, which compared to Brian Cage is about this big, and Darby Allin has a skateboard. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Hit me in the nuts with the wheel? It's like, and Taz is like, we'll back off today. But we'll see you in 2 weeks, because Brian Cage is going to fight Darby Allin for the TNT title in 2 weeks. I didn't forget Ken's Super Chat. I didn't forget. No worries. I got it right here. I think I have it right here. What did he say over here? No. Ken, wait. Oh, okay. No. This is good. My apologies. Ken Terminated says, okay. Ken from Terminated. Wow. I give you props, man. I'm looking at the time. You actually made this comment before my rant about the luchadors, ECW and WCW. Ken Terminated by DQ, and you know what? I apologize for those on audio only, but it would be absolutely disrespectful on my part if I didn't have Ken's full name there. Perfect. Now we can do it. Would the Marks complain if Eddie Guerrero got chubby if he was alive today? It's hard to say, man, because we've had wrestlers over the years put on a little bit of weight. Some wrestlers over the years have put on a little bit of weight. And I'm not just talking about like Dusty or someone else. We've had wrestlers come back for a little cameo here and there. Trying to think of a really good one. Iron Sheik, he couldn't even walk, so I don't even think that matters. I'll tell you this much. Well, we didn't have social media in the late 80s when Iron Sheik came back and he had put on some pounds. But we've had wrestlers leave. Piper's a good one. I mean, McMahon made fun of him on TV. What do you say? Piper's punch, something like that. Some wrestlers have come back. And Piper may not even be a good example because Piper was pretty much retired at that time. But we have had wrestlers leave. What was a good example? I'll give you a good example of one. Colt Scorpio. Colt Scorpio had left for a little while and then came back, and he had put on about 20 pounds, and he had a nice little, pouch, a little belly. But the guy could still go. I mean, look, we're wrestling fans. And for the most part, the ones we like the most, we kind of try to live vicariously through them, even though we may not admit it. You look at some wrestlers out there that have these cult followings to themselves. You see when some wrestlers come out, especially someone who hasn't been around for a while. Can you imagine CM Punk makes a return? You'll have people out there that truly try to live vicariously through these people. You know, Karrion Kross to some people is Jesus Christ. And I am a huge fan of his, but I'm also realistic that he has not put in the WWE time yet to be at the level where he is one of the biggest stars of pro wrestling. Only time will fix that. And I'm confident that it'll happen. But, you know, but for the most part, even if a wrestler is not big in size, they're like a hero to you. They're a superhero to you. You know, they're a role model to you. You know, they're in different ways. For some of you out there, it's a Joe Rag, you know. But so the thing is that when you talk about Eddie Guerrero, like if Eddie Guerrero had left wrestling for a little while, came back, and he had put on a decent amount of weight, yeah, it would be obviously noticeable, but we would always envision him at what he was, even though it seemed a little unhealthy. Remember in WCW when he just was ripped to the max, and we were like, look at this guy's physique compared to 6 months ago. It looked sickly to a point. But when you have your favorites, there's a vision, there's a certain part of their wrestling career that you always remember. And what I mean by that is if you have someone who's been wrestling for 20 years, for 30 years, and they pass away, if you were to put up a photo paying tribute to that person, you probably would not put the photo up of the final days of their on this earth. You would bring up a photo maybe from the 80s or the 90s or whatever it is. You pick a specific photo, and you see that when wrestlers pass. You look at different websites and the photos that they choose to put up to pay tribute to the person who just passed. And that photo represents the point of that wrestler's career that you remember them the most, that you always see them as. That's why even today, when you see podcasts interviewing wrestlers, they'll take a photo from 30 years ago, even though the person doesn't remotely look like that anymore, but that's the way they always envision them to see. So whether it's Eddie Guerrero or someone else, they might be a little bit more respectful because Eddie was so beloved if he was still with us alive. But if he had put on some weight, I think people would still bring it up. You could have your trolls. But, you know, it depends on who the person is. Some people, you know, they'll use the term, but he looks healthy. I've said that about Arn Anderson. Said, look, Arn Anderson, he put on some pounds, but you know what? He looks like he's enjoying himself. He had a crazy-ass career, entertainment. He should enjoy a few extra beers now. He should enjoy a couple extra calories if that's what he wants. So I'm fine with that. Absolutely fine with that. So, so we talked about Butcher and Pac. We talked about Jericho and Top Flight. Sting's interview with Shivani, just to wrap that up. Talking about being home and talking about the atmosphere, the climate, you know, happy being in wrestling. Brings up Cody, a little bit of Darby Allin. Team Taz comes out. Threatens are going to beat him up. The lights go out. Darby Allin goes from Section 800 down to the ring and like this. And then Team Taz backs off. But, you know, and they tried to cover it up with Brian Cage. It's like, no, I want him now. I want him now. And they're pushing Brian Cage away. Now, just in storyline, I'm Brian Cage and I want him now. I don't let, like, Taz's son even touch me. Like, I just push everybody out of the way and you just charge the ring. But they back off, and in 2 weeks, we have Darby versus Brian Cage for the TNT title. We have a little stare down with Darby and Sting. And then we obviously have all said this now for 2 weeks. Sting is going to be like kind of like a role model, a coach for Darby Allin. I have no problem with it. No problem with it whatsoever. In fact, you know what? Wouldn't surprise me if we ended up seeing something. I'm not saying we're going to like this, but maybe something like Taz and Brian Cage versus Sting and Darby Allin. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but, you know, they may end up doing something like that. MJF, to further, like, him trying to gain the trust of the inner circle, he's in the back and he has a little convo with Santana. Santana recently lost his father and his stepfather. And MJF says, look, I know how you're feeling. He just lost his grandfather recently, and they have a handshake. Nothing devious about it, but obviously this is going to be leading to a little bit of a storyline. Shout out to Neil Ray. He says he hopes 2021 is great. Sucks being unemployed. 2020 sucks. I tried my hardest to enjoy it as much as I could. I tried my hardest to, do whatever I had to do to try to get income in here. At the end of the day, it obviously wasn't enough. I had to depend on plastic. But, 2021, it's got to be better than 2020. It has to be. The vaccines, even though a lot of you out there still will not take it, but tens of millions will. And the more people take it, the less of the risk that it is. So, 2021 will definitely be better, but it also will depend on what you do with 2021. I just refuse to I stopped following politics about 6 months ago. It was consuming me. I had a lot of you complaining on the shows like, he talks too much politics. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And when I get fed up at Trump, that should tell you something. And I have a handwritten photo from him from the White House inside. He wrote one for me and my family. His father did business with my father. But I just got fed up with politics. And you see what's happened with this $600 stimulus. I think that ultimately they'll negotiate probably somewhere in the middle. But you see this awful stuff. You see all the money they put in there for other countries. All they had to say from day one is, look, those countries could do their research, but right now we got to take care of us first. So you do that next year, but right now we worry about us and us only. And you see, that's why politics suck. What went down this week is Politics 101. And as I said about Andrew Yang, I'm nothing against him personally. I know he means well. You watch by the end of 2021 and you ask yourself, what did he actually do to help wrestlers with unions and everything? It's very easy to tweet shit and get all these likes and emotional hits. But when you don't do anything else with that, all you do is just you're just trying to get attention and stir shit up. You got to be more than that. You got to take initiative. What's stopping this guy from trying to go further with it? He's a politician. He's a politician. Oh, Mike, I believe that when I see that. There's so many people that promise they're going to do things, and then they'll say, oh, no, January 1st, I'm going to do this. And then about 2-3 weeks before, they did nothing to prepare. Oh, no, by February, I'm going to do this. And by April, I'm going to do this. And by July, I'm going to do this. Andrew Yang doing that right now. My God. For those that don't know, Andrew Yang says he's going to run for mayor, New York, okay? I'll say this about wrestling. I know a lot of you have heard about that, but did any of you stop and say to you, wow, Andrew Yang wants to run for mayor of New York? Isn't it interesting that Joe Biden and his government, his cabinet, they're not interested in Andrew Yang? Don't you find that a little bit interesting? Like, why would you run for mayor if you knew you were getting a position in Joe Biden's office, his government? So the fact that Andrew Yang is talking about running for mayor now pretty much is telling all of you that all that talk, oh, if Joe Biden is elected, if I'm not the education or the labor person, I will be on the phone with him. That's what Andrew Yang did. I know a lot of you don't want to admit that, but that's what he did. That shows you. Even Joe Biden's cabinet does not want Andrew Yang. Very easy to do this. But to back it up is another. So, Jurassic Park, they had a match against Dark Order. I tell you, you look at the very beginning of that match and what Marco Stunt was doing with Colt Cabana. And Colt Cabana kept missing those moves in the corner and kept hitting the turnbuckle. I'm like, no thanks. No thanks. I mean, I didn't think there was any doubt Jurassic Park was going to win because they're going to feud with FTR. And sure enough, after the match is over, here on the screen is Tully and FTR talking about them being the tag team of 2020. And looks like we will have probably Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus versus FTR. You could look at it two ways. You could say, wow, they went this with FTR down to this. But I also think, you know what? I think FTR will probably come off on the winning side of this. This may help elevate Jurassic Park a little bit. The fact that Jurassic Park are even in the top 5 of tag team contenders, I think is a joke. Not that they're not deserving of it, but, they really haven't been utilized all that much. So, but this is what happens in 2020 with COVID. A lot of things don't make sense. Wait till we talk about the Slammy Award results on Monday. Alex Marvez interviewing Kenny Omega and Don Callis. They're at the hotel. I thought it was funny how they were making fun of Alex Marvez, almost like he's stalking him at hotels, which was pretty funny. And, Don Callis is saying, which was hypocritical, obviously, he's like, what's going on with AEW? Like, wrestlers could, book their own matches and this and that? And I'm like, yeah, because Cody said we will never have a general, like a GM because fans are we know that fans aren't that stupid. That's how you book the matches. That's how it's happened. Lately, for the last 6 months, you hear more and more. I was on the phone with Tony Khan, and Tony Khan agreed to this. I was on the phone with Tony Khan. And by the way, speaking of that, talk about storyline inconsistency. After MJF and Jericho beat Top Flight, Jake Hager was in their corner, and all we kept hearing throughout the match is that it was 45 degrees out and Jake Hager's not wearing socks. Okay. Jake Hager gets on the mic. He sounded like his throat was a little hoarse. Maybe you should wear socks. And he's basically talking about it was only 2 weeks ago when they had the ultimatum. Remember the ultimatum? And then Hager is calling out Wardlow for not being there the last 2 weeks. He had a family issue, which was legit. And he's like, this is family. And he called out Wardlow. And next week, I believe it's going to be Hager versus Wardlow. Is it next week or the week after? But it's happening. And the funny thing about that is, in storyline, we just had them in Las Vegas a month ago. Not even 2 weeks later, Jericho is doing his ultimatum that they're going to split up after 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks saying, no, we're a cohesive unit or we split up. Now Jake Hager is challenging one of the members and has a match. And Jericho just stands there, twiddle his thumbs. Next week. Yes, thank you, Mr. Mike. Mr. Mike 307. Just think, you see the inconsistent. Have you noticed, because I pointed it out, the last 2 weeks, not including this week, Inner Circle ratings, significantly less. Inner Circle, Jericho, were some of the highest ratings early on. They started to do these teasers. The first Vegas thing was funny and everything, but a lot of the other stuff, you teasing a swerve, teasing this. First, everybody's great. Not even 2 weeks later, we're going to split if this doesn't stop. And then 2 weeks later, we're all winning, but I'm going to fight this person. It's inconsistency. Trying to hot shot little storylines. This isn't daytime soap opera with cliffhangers every week, as much as they want to try to do that. But Alex Marvez is with Kenny Omega and Don Callis at the hotel. And this is to pretty much set up the match with Rey Fenix next week. He said that Rey Fenix choked in the AEW tag title tournament. He choked in his AAA championship match. He choked against his brother in the title eliminator. And Kenny Omega may have to put Rey Fenix out of wrestling. I don't think Kenny Omega needs to actually do it himself. Rey Fenix, you got to be careful because we've had 2 or 3 scares already. At least one, maybe 2, kept him out of action for a little while. In fact, yeah, it was at least 2. Rey Fenix is awesome, man, but some things he's got to pull back a little bit. And I don't know if you feel this way, but it feels like sometimes it doesn't seem like anybody is telling some of these guys, you got to pull back a little bit, you know? They pulled back a little bit of the dives onto like 6-7 people. But we saw that happen yesterday again. You know, you see like somebody like setting themselves up to be, you know, getting dived on and shit like that. They did that with the Dark Order. So we get Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford. They're with Miro, and they announced that they're going to be getting married on February 3rd, which happens to be AEW Beach Break. Obviously, somebody is going to be crashing the wedding. Haven't thought about it yet. Not going to overthink it, because remember, we still never even found out who attacked Jon Moxley. So that's basically where they're going with that storyline. But expect a big shift in that storyline on February 3rd. Dustin Rhodes beating Evil Uno. That's another guy. I gave props to the Butcher. I give props to Evil Uno. That guy has dropped a little bit of weight. He's dropped good 15 to 20 pounds. And that guy was pulling out moves yesterday that I haven't seen him do in a very long time. Evil Uno, I never in a million years ever thought that I would be singing the praise of Evil Uno like I am now, but did a fabulous job yesterday. Dustin wins, you know, with the Bullfrog. You know, it was a fun match. Did I say Bullfrog? Bulldog. Bullfrog. It's Christmas Eve, everyone. In the back of my mind, I got to start getting ready. Got to go over the girl's house and stay there till after midnight, because everybody opens their things at 12. I mean, like I said, nobody really bought gifts, so they should be done by 12:02. But by the time you say goodbye to everybody, you know, at least I don't have to hug anybody. I'm gonna put on a mask. I'm like, no, fist bump. None of this hugging like, oh, nice to see you. Oh, get better the mask. No, fist bump. I'm out of there. So, fucking light just fell. Fuck you. So anyway, oh my God. Did we have Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone in that corner the whole time? Did we legitimately? I guess, why not? Wasn't that big of a deal, right? I just looked over and I'm like, why do I see Tony? And you had 3 Tonys on the screen. Wasn't there an R&B group, Tony? You just had Tony Khan, Tony Schiavone, Don Tony. Tony. What was that god-awful song that they came out with? It was a god-awful song. Can't wait for New Year's Eve, man. I'm going to have fun with all of you over here on New Year's Eve. We'll definitely pop open some champagne and just goof and just have fun, man. I'm looking forward to it. I props to anybody who remembers the absolutely goofy song they came out with. It was Tony. So, Dustin beats Evil Uno with the Bulldog, not the Bullfrog. And Evil Uno, what's with this obsession that they insist that people have to join the group? You got Ricochet who's been treated like Ricochet, and his obsession with retribution. We had, you know, the Hurt Business insisting that someone joins them a little whiles back. There was some dispute. It was Ali. No, it was Ricochet. Oh, no, it was Cedric. I mean, this Taz. Remember how many months? Taz, Darby, you have to join our group. Darby. I mean, what's with this obsession of joining people's groups? Yeah, we're doing a live Q&A. Michael Gonzalez. I will be here. Looks like it's going to start 10. Maybe it starts at 9. I haven't thought exactly, but I think 10 next week. 10 p.m., 10 p.m., and 10 seconds. That's when we're going to start this. So, Tony, oh yeah, Tony Khan board. Oh, yes, you know what? Yes, you are right. For those that might watch this back and get a little bit annoyed that Tony Khan was on my screen all night long, Tony Khan actually bought that airspace on my screen. He actually bought the time, and I was forced to keep him up there for about 90 minutes. So, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Mike, I don't know. I got to talk to Mish. If Mish is not doing anything, yeah, of course he's welcome. I will talk to him and I'll see. I mean, look, he's got his own family that he probably will want to spend time with. But I got news for you. Even if he wants to stop in, I mean, there should be a way for me to configure the screen to just put him on video for a few minutes, even if he wants to stop by for a little while. So, yeah, I will definitely talk to him and see if he wants to come on. But, yeah, absolutely, I don't mind. And like I said, when we start doing this live show on Thursdays, that's going to be pretty much just, down-to-earth, regular conversation about whatever. We'll definitely have some weeks that Mish will join me, and I'll have some weeks that I'll be on by myself, and maybe we'll have somebody on once in a while. Actually, I do want to bring a few people on. There's a few people with some shows that Fabe, Connor, definitely would love to bring him on. And I know he would come on. There's a few people I'd like to bring on. Even if we do one episode once in a blue moon, just have conversations about whatever. So, shout out to Devin, by the way. Devin, tuned in late, but it's okay. You missed the first 3 minutes again of just dead air. I muted myself again by mistake. So, we had Stu Grayson was at ringside, and you go back, this was the spot I was talking about. Evil Uno wants Dustin to still be part of the group. They keep bringing up 7, which, a lot of us didn't want to remember. I actually watched the promo again today, 7. I don't know why, but I just decided to watch it. So Dustin's beating up Evil Uno. Stu Grayson tries to get involved. And then we have Who Dat tries to get involved, and he gets knocked on his ass. And then Lee Johnson comes in. Watch that spot. Lee Johnson dives over the top rope, and just look at the members of the Dark Order. Getting in position. You know what I really liked yesterday? Arguably, as far as non-wrestling goes, I might have liked this more than anything else, Sean Spears' interview. Sean Spears cutting an interview saying that he sees the same shit happening to him now that happened to him in pretty much WWE, that, he feels like he's got all the tools and he knows that he could have, a position in AEW forever because he's a locker room leader and this and that, but he's not being utilized and he's pissed off. And Tony Schiavone tries to stir it up and say, maybe you're the problem. And Sean Spears was like, that's fucked up, what you said, Tony Schiavone. He didn't curse like that, but Sean Spears says that, he'll come back to AEW when he feels like it. Now, if you ask me, just an idea, if you want to spicing this up a little bit, you have Impact Wrestling doing their next tournament. Wasn't it like an X Division tournament or something like that? I will have the details on next Wednesday's show. But Suicide is in this tournament. Chat room, did anybody know what that tournament is? I think it's like an X Division tournament. Suicide is one of the participants in this tournament. I know some of you said, it'd be pretty cool if Christopher Daniels was under the mask this time around. They try to do a little AEW swerve out of it. I tell you what, I'd like to see Sean Spears possibly go under the Suicide mask and maybe win the whole goddamn thing, unmask and reveal to be Sean Spears. And he's got an Impact title. Just an idea, split-second idea. Last night was a little late. Sometimes Ambien actually helps me think a little bit, and sometimes it makes me type verbiage, just nonsense. Is it the Saudi World Cup? It's not a Saudi World. They're not going to Saudi Arabia right now. Someone's got to bring up the tournament. What's the name of the tournament that Impact Wrestling is doing? They announced the brackets yesterday, and Suicide is on one of the brackets. I would put the Super X Cup. Thank you. Thank you, Michael Gonzalez. I know it was, and thank you, Andrew Monahan, as well. The Super X Cup. Put Sean Spears under Suicide. That didn't sound right. Put Sean Spears under the Suicide mask. Just an idea. Hikaru Shida, she beats Alex Garcia. It was an okay match. I mean, after, all this wait for Hikaru Shida to be in action, what the story was yesterday is what transpired after. Abaddon tried to get involved. Hikaru Shida started beating her around ringside. Looked like Abaddon was unconscious. And what's up, Nathan Rita? What's going on? Garth Overstein, what's going on? Much love. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to all of you out there. For those who tuned in late, I apologize, but we are going to start wrapping this up because we're already at an hour and 39. And I got to get my ass. Like I said, I got a shit shower. Trust me, I don't mind waiting a little bit later because, I'm going to have to be out till like 1 a.m. And we're supposed to get like torrential downpours tonight and wind and all this rain. And they even said a tornado watch in my neck of the woods. I kid you not. So it's probably better that we did this early because my internet will probably be out later and all this stuff. So, but Hikaru Shida, I liked after the match was over, she had the Singapore cane and it looked like a bad horror film. Abaddon is laid out on the floor and she's like this. I mean, I'm exaggerating, obviously. And you got Shida, if you pretend this is a Singapore cane for a minute, I just get random tools for some reason. She's like poking her. And you see she grabs a Singapore cane, starts fucking with Hikaru Shida, beats her up a little bit, and then chomps on her neck like what Shayna Baszler did to Becky Lynch. The only reason, I know a lot of you out there thought it was stupid yesterday. The only reason why I don't have a problem with it is because of the Abaddon character. If anything, it makes more sense for Abaddon to do it than for Shayna Baszler to do it. But the only thing is, I would have liked to have seen Abaddon do this more in previous weeks. Maybe not to the point where they have to use a lot of fake blood and everything, but maybe Abaddon, that she comes off sometimes like as a cannibal, that she's trying to bite someone's hands, trying to bite someone's wrist, bite someone's fingers. She does do that a little here and there, but she's not really known for that. But she took a chomp out of Shida's neck yesterday, and, they're showing her with the trainers on social media, and she's got all this like blood around it. So it was a decent visual, but the consistency of the storyline is what I keep saying. You kind of think like next week we probably won't have anything with Abaddon and Shida, and they do every 2 or 3 weeks, and they do that too much. And as I said at the beginning of the show, they're doing it with Impact, and that sucks. It sucks. So next week we have Kenny Omega versus Rey Fenix for the AEW World Championship. Hikaru Shida versus Abaddon for the Women's Championship. Oh, so they're going to have the women's match next week. Brain fart. But I'll tell you, man, in 2 weeks, that pisses me off, actually. That pisses me off. In 2 weeks, you have New Year's Evil. In 2 weeks, AEW is going to amp it up to try to go against New Year's Evil and not have them get a ratings win out of it. Do you mean to tell me you can't do Shida versus Abaddon in 2 weeks? There was so much blood yesterday. If Shida wrestles next week and she's got no bandage over here and there's no signs of any bite whatsoever, trust me, there's going to be enough people on social media to be like, wow, that healed quickly. I would have done it in 2 weeks. There's a point. You announce the match and build it for 2 weeks. So, happy holidays to Devin M. Much love. He says, I have the best podcast on the planet. I appreciate that, man. As you enjoy it, that's the ultimate compliment. I really do appreciate that. And like I said, 2021 is going to be a big year. It's not easy to do 23 years of audio only and then not only go on YouTube, but try to go balls in. This hard with it. There's still a lot of learning that I need to do, and I still have to tweak a lot of my material and tighten it up and try to avoid certain topics here and there. But I had so much fun this year doing this. So much fun. And as people have said, many of you kind of wish I should have started this a few years earlier. But, it's all good. Better late than never. But we're having fun, and that's all that matters. It's all that matters. It's not about trying to overtake this person's numbers. And like I said, and it's true fact, 70 to 80% of everybody who enjoys my stuff just enjoy it audio only. Very small percentage of you enjoy the video side of it. But as you could see on the video, we have a lot of fun. We get animated. You see certain things, you know. For me, the video is just a whole different element. It's a nice, fun challenge. And I always like, you know, the fact that you get to see my face and see my eyes. And, you know, when you see someone's face, that's a big deal. You know, even once in a while, it's a big deal. But I still do audio-only stuff on Patreon. Patreon, it's interesting because you would think that, okay, non-Patreon shows would be audio-only, but Patreon would have video. On Patreon, it's the opposite. Our Patreon family enjoys it simplified. And that's cool because that involves less preparation on the technical side and allows us to do more on the content side. So anyway, continuing with next week. So we got Omega versus Rey Fenix, Shida versus Abaddon, Jake Hager versus Wardlow, and the return of Jon Moxley. Ooh, whoopee. And that's not against Moxley. That's not a shot on Moxley. That's a shot on the piss poor, god-awful way they have used Jon Moxley's character since that title match. There is no excuse for him to have not been, like I said before, I'm sorry for being a broken record, but they wanted to do the screw job with Omega winning. That following week, Moxley should have been the first person there, chair in the middle of the ring. I'm not leaving this goddamn ring until Omega comes out there and confronts me face to face. Then you could have done something where he was attacked, Kingston, someone else. Doesn't matter. Have Tony Khan send people out there. He starts attacking officials. Tony Khan on social media says Jon Moxley is suspended for 30 days. Is that fucking hard? Is that hard? Not only do you get Moxley off of TV for a month, but that also shows that Moxley goes against authority. It stays consistent with his character. He's a loose cannon, and you also got him off TV. So stupid, man. I know I'm not in the business, but, man, some of this is so easy to fucking write. And they don't realize how much they hurt that character. They don't realize how much they hurt Team Taz. Like I said, Sting with the Fitbit. Oh, I burned 880 calories. Lift the bat. I burned 882. Team Taz. Whoa. That's it. No. We're leaving. It's okay. It's all right. You hold that erect bat. Also, for night 2 of New Year's Smash, which is the following week, Darby Allin versus Brian Cage for the TNT title. Cody Rhodes versus Matt Sydal. That will be a really good match. So, Matt Sydal, I think some of you out there expected to have done more in AEW by now, but tell you, that match is going to be a lot of fun. I don't know where they go, like I said, with the Jade Cargill storyline. Obviously, Brandy being pregnant, it's got to shift to someone else. Like I said, I'd like for it to be Big Swole. I think Big Swole, it would be a nice rebound after all the damage they did to her with that dentist shit, that dentist office crap. Yeah, the skateboard scared them off this week. Oh, skateboard. But you know, you'd be surprised how many people on social media will point that out. You know, I could see if it's 2-on-2. But, you know, if Sting keeps coming out there with a plastic bat, you know, look, all right, I go to school and there's a guy that wants to kick my ass, all right, or I want to kick someone else's ass. And I show up and I want to beat this guy down and he's got a plastic bat in his hand. I'm like, hey, you know, all right, I think I could still take him, but I don't want to get hit once even with the bat. So I leave. Well, if I think he's going to show up with the bat again next week, guess what? I'm going to show up with my own bat, a screwdriver, but I show up my own weapon. You know? Oh, we forgot. Remember Taz is, I don't need no weapons. My hands are my weapons. Remember his intro? I don't need any weapons. My hands are my weapons. His hands didn't do shit. None of the hands did anything the last 2 weeks. So the main event, the Young Bucks, Bob O'Mac. By the way, big shout out to Bob O'Mac. For those that don't know, you know, remember that video intro that I had the very beginning of Wednesday Night Dynamite where it had all the logos and everything? Actually, I know the intro's going to play again, but this See that? Well, actually, no, it didn't play the intro. All right, but you see those, a lot of those logos he did. He actually drew all that artwork. So he is live with us right now. And Bob, much love to you, my friend. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you. I hope all is well. I know we haven't talked all that much, but I hope everything's good. So good guy, man. But so we get to the main event, the Acclaimed. Earlier in the night, we had a music video of them doing something called Buck Hunt. Was it Buck Hunt? It's funny when you say that fast. I don't think it was intended that way, but they did a music video, Buck Hunt, and, just mocking the Young Bucks. I know a lot of you out there don't like the Acclaim's gimmick, did not like their rap last week, did not like what they did yesterday. I like it. I like it. Wrestling sometimes, even with the characters, are not supposed to be polished. These guys are not getting record deals. If they were that great, then they probably would get some type of an offer to do a little bit. That's the character. They're not bad at what they do. I know it comes off a little goofy, but I tell you, it's not that bad. And they had an awesome match with the Young Bucks yesterday. Yes, we've said it before. Top Flight, Private Party, the Acclaimed, still very new, still have a lot of work to do, a lot of seasoning still needed, but some of these guys have been put into some pretty damn high-profile spots on Dynamite. You've had some people open up Dynamite. You've had some people close Dynamite. And it's not just that they're wrestling on TV. Look at some of the people that they're facing. The Young Bucks, Chris Jericho. I mean, those are big, big names. So the fact that they have actually adapted as well as they have, that's a good deal. The Acclaimed haven't been there that long. I mean, they've only been on TV a couple of times. And give props to AEW. I don't see the quarter-hour ratings yet, so I don't know what that main event quarter-hour rating is going to score. Something tells me the number is going to be pretty decent. And I tell you, the fact that they had that much confidence, tape show or not, preempted or not, the fact that AEW put that much trust to put the Acclaimed in a main event on Wednesday night, that's pretty big deal. That's a pretty big deal. The Young Bucks obviously came out on top, which we all expected. And, it was a decent match. It was a decent match. Had no problems with it whatsoever. VJ says Abaddon has 1998 Mick Foley's body. Have you ever seen pictures of Abaddon without the makeup and the outfits? Go check it out. Go check it out. Do me this favor. You don't have to super chat or anything, but do me this favor. Not going to do a show again until Monday. If you're around Monday, tell me Monday. If not, tell me next Wednesday. Go and check out Abaddon without the makeup and without the outfit on. Then come back to me the Monday or Wednesday and say to me, or in the comment section, say to me if she has still Mick Foley's 1998 body. Yeah, she's a little thick. Yeah, so what? Any of you out there, the first week that she was in AEW, I posted 2 photos here of her. I don't have them in front of me right now. Oh, maybe I don't think I have them available. I don't want to start searching for photos now. Maybe I will step in shit and find it like in 2 seconds. Yeah, I don't, I'm looking at some of the photos. No, I don't. Checking one more second. Let me look a little further. I don't think I have it. Oh, wait. Oh, see, I have to title my photos. Any of you out there that's ever saved images, like in your computer, it probably says like image 6 or image 2. That's what all mine say. But this is Abaddon without makeup. Something tells me you're not going to get too many complaints. That is Abaddon without makeup. There's other pictures out there as well. I mean, I do have other ones. But Abaddon without makeup, I think she's very attractive. And like I said, there's some other photos out there. Yeah, look, hey, Teen Gaming, some of you, look, she's obviously doesn't have the look that everybody, but, you know, I don't think she's got Mick Foley 1998 body. So, but anyway, she does, look, there's no question her character is rather unique. I know some people try to say, oh, it's a Rosemary ripoff. I don't compare the two. Because trust me, if you're going to say that Abaddon is a ripoff of Rosemary, somebody out there will say that Rosemary is a ripoff of someone else. And, you know, wrestling is always recycled, as you know. But with that said, before I go, I played this yesterday. I have to do it here again today because when we announced the contest 2 weeks ago, it was not just for NXT fans. It was for everybody who posted a comment. Yesterday, I posted the first time the winner of this NXT Halloween Havoc print straight from WWE. It is signed by everybody you see on the print. Shotzi Blackheart, Johnny Gargano, Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley, Raquel Gonzalez, Dexter Lumis, Cameron Grimes, Io Shirai, and Candice LeRae. So yesterday, right before I went live, I pulled the winner. I recorded the video so you would see it, so it's not finagled in any way. And yeah, for a second night in a row, you get to enjoy the music. Here is the winner of the contest for this week. Oh, and I didn't even tell you what the contest is in 2 weeks. Everybody tuning in now are entered in that as well. So I'll tell you what the prize is if you're not aware of it already. This week is one of the rare weeks that you actually have two entries to win. So here's the winner for the NXT Halloween Havoc signed print. No, you know what I was doing? I was doing something goofy like this in the corner. It was no way for me to put it like, yeah, I was like doing something like this. I was going like this. All right, enough of that. The people on audio only are like, oh my God, stop. Jay Carlos, congratulations. Jay Carlos. That's regular YouTube generic music. I have to use that generic music so we don't get any copyright flags. So Jay Carlos, congratulations, my friend. He won the NXT sign print. Now, the prize that we'll do in 2 weeks, very simple. You could participate in yesterday's NXT recap video. You could also participate in tonight's AEW recap video. You post a comment on each one, you'll be entered twice. Yes, there is a possibility that you could win twice. We're doing two $50 prizes in 2 weeks. All you have to do is post a comment. And in 2 weeks, I will do the program and pick someone random from this AEW recap episode. And then from last night, we'll pull someone random that posted a comment on the NXT recap episode. One winner from each one, and each person will get $50. Your choice of either an Amazon e-gift card, PayPal, or a money order. So if you put a comment on each video, you have two chances to win. And you know what? If you get lucky like that and your name is picked on both videos, you get both prizes. So I don't think that'll happen. That would be fucking rare. I mean, that'd be pretty interesting. Oh, and thank you to Guardian of Chaos who gave me the idea. I never really thought about doing it that way, but in January, I'm going to start doing these picks live. I'm going to start doing them live. It's not as easy as it sounds because the program has got to run in the background and it's got to be on the video itself that I'm pulling the comment from. So the screenshot that while with doing the show is not as easy as it sounds, but I'm going to see how other people do it online, and we'll start doing them live. So this way, it's in real time, and we'll see what happens. I'll tell you the truth. If I could get that down pat, we could start doing a contest where we pull someone live in the chat room. I've been trying to do some research on that to see how we could do a contest with everybody live in the chat room, just pulling someone random. So I'm working on it. We're working on it. But anyway, it is 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 40 seconds. I want to finish this by the 2-hour mark. I thank you once again. Much love. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. I'll obviously see you again before New Year's. 3 days from now? On Monday, after Raw, Mish and I will be here for Breakfast Soup Raw. And then Tuesday, we're going to do a Patreon. It's going to be myself, Mish, and Kevin Castle doing like a live Q&A on Patreon. Then next Wednesday will be your typical Wednesday Night Dynamite. And then next Friday, we return with the Don Tony Show. And remember, obviously, New Year's Eve, I will be here. Looks like I said, right now, it looks like it'll start at 10. And then we'll do live till probably like 1 a.m. We'll ring in the new year together, and we'll chat, and nothing will be planned. So everybody that tunes in live, you will be part of the show. So, all right, everybody, have a very happy and healthy one. Stay safe, be well. To your families, I wish you happy holidays and Merry Christmas. Much love as always. And as I say all the time, if you enjoyed today's episode, before you jet out of here, I appreciate if you give it that thumbs up. That tells YouTube that you like the show and you recommend it to others. And the more people do that, the more it gets recommended. So I know some of you sometimes stop by just to hit the like button and you leave, which is good. And if you haven't done so yet, subscribe. We are this close of hitting 17,000. This close. In fact, I think we're going to break 17,000 over the weekend. So never in a million years ever thought in less than a year we would end up with 17,000 subscribers. Some people have said to me, like, how many subscribers do I want to have by the end of 2021? I really haven't stopped to think about it yet. I thought 5,000 would have been, more than humbling for me. Never expect. We had a big surge early on, obviously, because it was new and everybody signed up. Now it gets slower, and I really got to earn everybody, I earned it before, but now it's a little different because that's why, like I said, posting the comments and the likes are so important, because you get new people that never seen the videos before, and don't even know who I am. And they get the video recommended, and you get someone that clicks on it, kind of enjoys what they're tuning in, and hopefully I earn their the privilege of them subscribing and enjoying the content. So that's pretty much what we're looking at. So who knows? Who knows what the end of 2020? Maybe I'll be dead in 2021. I'm not kidding either. Tomorrow's never guaranteed, and I don't want to end on that note, but that's why, like I say, enjoy your family, enjoy your friends. Don't let anybody tell you what you should and should not do. And if you are enjoying yourself and you have good things happening, never feel that you can't spread that out and just tell the world and just be happy and tell your friends and everything. Good news is needed by men. What's amazing? It's amazing of all these people on social media that talk about how, they pray that bigger and better things for all of us in 2021. And that's a nice thing to say. But then when bigger and better things happen to people in 2021, but didn't happen to them, they're bitter about it. They're bitter at those people. Like, oh, I hope that you grab the brass ring in 2021. And when you grab the brass ring, they're bitter. Can't figure out social media, everybody. So much love. I am out of here. Time for me to go shit, shower, and shave. So you all be well. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. Oh, no, I can't play the jingle. Don't want to take a chance for any copyright flag. So much love, everybody. Thank you for all the support, and I will catch you all again Monday for Breakfast Soup Raw. Good night.